Oops. All right, good evening, everybody. You get to see too many things behind the scenes. Welcome back. I am System Chalk, and we are on the 21st episode of Book of Hours, the House of Light expansion, our first run through YouTube, playing as the archaeologist. I am the librarian of Hush House, and this journal will record what arose from my crime and my curse. The archaeologist's dearest wish when they came to the house was to record a history where their crime could be forgiven or redefined. But you can complete the game by recording any history. You might wish to begin your studies with the Skolakosophy wisdom. I opened a tomb and found too late that it was a prison. The plague that I released is now my shadow, or perhaps I am its reflection. It is too late to set matters right, but it is never too late to protect the future from the past. In Hush House, I can do no harm. Perhaps I can even make amends. So we are mostly through, we're halfway through the day, but we're mostly through all of my elements of the soul. Most of them are already accounted for in terms of leveling up things like drums and dances. And the main focus tomorrow is going to be sort of doing a lot of cooking. When I say tomorrow, of course, I mean tomorrow in-game. But let's make the most of the time that we have here. I could use the Shapt to earn, well, we're already earning money. I could use it to catalog one of these books, or I could also use it to open these packages, which I'd sort of been neglecting. So I think probably the priorities are going to be level up drums and dances to level 2, and then we will use the consider verb to open up the package, and then depending on where we are at the end of the day, I'll also maybe try and use this shop to do something. And then in addition to the, actually one thing I forgot to do between recording, I wanted to see what my possibilities would be with Moon. I'll maybe do that at the beginning of tomorrow, because again, my priority ideally is going to be focusing on getting the salon ready. All right, another leaf on the Tree of Wisdoms. The first musics were not made by mortals, but taken from Sand Coil and Sea Thorn, from Flint Heart and Dragon Womb. So let's consider. We'll take the drums and dances. We'll take the storm. Drums and dances is heart and nectar, so really my only options here are core and health. What am I doing here? There we go. There's always more to learn. So as far as timing goes, yeah, I'll renew this. I'll technically renew this in time to be able to do another run at the Sweet Bones, but I think I will try to avoid doing that unless I have a really good reason otherwise. I think it'd be nice to just kind of take a few more of these packages off my shelf. All right. Tall parcel, tightly wrapped in oilcloth. Something tasty. Crack open the container, delight in your discovery. We'll still renew the Shapt here. We really don't have... Essentially, the way I like thinking of it is if I use a Shapt, a health, core, metal, Fost, Whist, anything, basically anything but Trist and Fet, I think. Sorry, Trist, Fet, and Arab. The way I like to think of these is I can... I like to think of it as basically getting 4 pence back. So I get a 6 pence for doing the work, as they used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. As long as I have a minute, I can earn the element of the soul back for tuppence, and so I net for 4 pence. That's kind of the way I like to think about it. I can't treat every day like there's an infinite amount of time. Obviously, once the sun starts setting, there are some clear boundaries in terms of actions that I can take, but generally, this is one of the reasons why I like to cycle through, especially with House of Light, where I'm going to be using more and more of the money. It is winter and the storms have tightened the seas. I am sitting before the fire in the Sweet Bones with a beef and potato pasty in one hand and a hot ale posset in the other. So I think the plan's going to be once I recover my Shapt, I'll use that to open the other package. That'll leave me this last tall parcel, and then tomorrow I'm gonna still try and catalog the books. It would be nice to try and make some progress on that. But I think, actually, yeah, the other drawback I run into is that I really should be reading some of these other ones. Again, because it gives me access to new skills, and those skills ultimately are going to be things that I add to the Tree of Wisdoms that allow me to do... they will allow me to have more interactions during the Salon. So I'll see where we go, but I am actually willing to delay the Salon a little bit as long as it means that I'm going into the Salon stronger. Anyways, crack open the container, delight in your discovery. Of course, the other thing that I can do is I can get all the cooking done, and then while I am writing all of the different letters, while I'm getting all of the inks made, that could maybe be a time when I'm using my Arab to read the Orchid Transfigurations and such. We'll see. I have a few different options. Also, I'm trying to remember if Drums and Dances gives me Peribiot as well. I should take a look. It would make more sense to give me something like a Cheerful Ditty, but it would maybe be nice to double check. Alright, better now. So, let's go to Melopolis Nook, open up the Contraband Jetsam, flung overboard in furtive haste. Who threw this overboard? I think this might wind up... I think this might be another package, but we'll see how it all turns out. So at this point, we really just need to wait for the... we just need to wait for sundown. That's going to be so that I can preserve the Cheerful Ditty. Also, this is a bit of a unique playthrough in that this is the first time I've ever slept in the motley bed. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and dream on the day's doings. Dreaming on a memory will preserve it past dawn, allowing you to keep it until the following day. Ambergris chunk. Never, never, never call it whale vomit. Okay, let's move the Solomon's preparation over here. So this is actually something I should be paying closer attention to. So, for instance here, right, if I take this substance, so we take Inks of Containment, Ambergris chunk, a Tryst, well, I'm still short on the solution. That was close. Mind you, I believe the Isle Water has Moon. Yeah. So that's a way that I can get myself... this is a way that I can get Catwink without needing to use Elements of the Soul. Well, I mean, I use the Element of the Soul to draw up the water. But, okay, that's something I'm going to keep in my back pocket. We may actually even use that tomorrow. So traditionally I've used the Isle Water to renew an element of the soul. I may even still do that today. But in this case here, this gives me a convenient follow-up for... Or sorry, a convenient combination to avoid generating moon memories. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier as far as the bitter black salts are concerned. I definitely have a tendency to use memories more. And that's just because I see memories as pretty renewable resources. So in this case here, it's really nothing for me to read another book, right? I've been able to get quite a bit of mileage out of my existing encounters. Just saying, it's like, okay, so I dedicate, so here's a good example. If I wanted to read something that had 6 Grail, just as an example, I could use my Arab, I could use whatever element of the soul that I have that has got 2 Grail. I think that would be Desires and Dissolutions when things come down to it. Although, maybe I don't have a 2. No, sorry, I've got Sea Stories. So Sea Stories would give me 2 Grail. It's like, okay, well, as long as I have a Satisfaction, I'm good to go. And what I do is I just acknowledge that that's going to be a 2 element of the soul reading job as opposed to the usual 1. No real big deal. But if I can do something like use the ambergris chunk, which I've never used, I don't believe I have ever used ambergris chunk in anything in Book of Hours. But this is a perfect example of how I can turn that into an ink. And given that I have 2 of them, and I'm going to have 2 glasses of water once I draw up the pitcher, this is a perfect example of something that's going to allow me to get a bit more mileage out of my day. So first of all, we're going to drop the water, lower the bucket creaking into the dark. And I think let's actually start off at the very... Oh, hang on. No. Yes. Okay. It's all well and good for me to tell that story, but I actually need to be able to add the moth to it. Or the Trist, rather. So I think the problem with this one is I can't add the inks of containment. Yeah. And then this doesn't take moon, so I guess the only place I could try to do this would be the Noctonary. All right, so yeah, it's not quite the same. It's not the cheat code I thought it was going to be. Okay, fair enough. Let's see if I've got any other moony. Well, we do have the telescope. Doesn't take materials, but... Okay, so this gives me midnight mark. So I mean, we're really back to where I used to be in terms of what I need. So I got unduly excited, but we can still move ahead with the plan that I had before. So for this, I'm going to need... Okay, so I'm going to want to generate a memory that's got a moon in it. So we've got storms, regrets, patterns, contradictions, gossip, revelations, confounding parables, foresight, hindsight, fears, impulses, and intuitions. So intuitions are what I'm mostly interested in here. I think maybe I should see what the weather is before I get too excited for the day. But no matter what happens, I am cooking this beef. Roast marinated beef, a dish with edge, forge, grail, heart, and scale. So that's going to give me the dripping that I'm going to use for the potatoes. Rain, that was unexpected. Ah, and we have all of our goodies. All right, let's open up TRN first. Unwrap, unbox, unleash. Now, I'm just trying to think, is there anything that I want to do with the Grail? Because it seems to me like we were... Yeah, so I seem to think, if I recall correctly, I was... Oh, darn it. I'm going to need to get the Grail back. Okay, so let me just take a quick minute here and see. So Sea Stories is my best bet. So I'd say, and then we'd add the spice scales. Yeah, so we're up to 7. Yeah, so what I should be doing here is I should be trying to read either the Intimations of the Skin or the Orchid Transfigurations A Birth. I'll think what I'll do is I'll read Intimations of the Skin, because that gives me Desires and Dissolutions, which we're also going to be getting from Orchid Transfigurations A Feast. So a little bit easier for me to just manage all of that. But obviously what I want to do now is I want to get a satisfaction. Now, I did say at the start of the day that I wanted to see what chances I had with the fisherman. So let's say, okay, fish. So that's 2 moon. Trist give us 1. The globe gives us 1. And the memory gives us 2. Now, eventually we're going to be able to get the Wormwood Dream, but we're not at that point yet. So that's 2 and 1 is 3, 3 and 1 is 4, 4 and 2 is 6. And then from there we take a look at what kind of food and beverage we can bring to bear. Now the fish helps us out here. So for food we can probably rely on 2. That takes us up to 8. Which I suppose in the grand scheme of things, we can at least rely on 1 moon from Eigengrau. I feel like we might be able to do better, though. I'm just trying to remember how. Oh, that surprises me. I didn't remember that the sea blessed bear. Well, of course, the sea. That shouldn't be a surprise. Okay, so lesson learned. I think there's a couple of teas that do have at least 1 moon aspect, but I think at this point we should be counting on 1 moon from a drink. Right, the Mistkissed Water also gives us a little bit more. But in this case, either Eigengrau or Isle Water, so drink 1, that takes us up to 9. So again, just reiterating what I can do with moon. Okay, so we need to get to 8, so we're good there. And I think the next one was 10. So we're close, but we're not... Oh! I wasn't expecting us to be able to get to the Veiled Chamber, but there you have it. Okay, very promising. And of course, the abandoned bedroom is the real one that I'm looking to get to, but we can save that. I guess, yeah, the question is... you know, I am going to be... I'm going to be trying to generate some memories. Okay, I am going to hire the fisherman after all. Sorry. Assistance from fishermen. In winter, when the storms close the seas, the fishermen will offer their services for a shilling a day. So I'm sort of pulling myself in 2 different directions here, but I think we will be good for it. So this is not going to be that difficult. I'm just going to open up the abandoned bedroom. Future ones we're going to dedicate a little bit more towards the fishermen, but the real aim here is to try and use my... use them as a memory generator. Fishermen in this part of the world have a reputation as smugglers and worse than smugglers. Those days are past, mostly, and mostly they just catch pilchards now, but they still remember the words spoken in silence to the moon and the sea. Alright, I could encourage my assistant, work with them for a little while, exalt them, or I could just listen to whatever they might have to say. So there's the tryst. Secret sorrows may join our strengths. Boosts moon and moth. I've carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. This will complete once dawn has come. I should be reading the book with satisfaction, though. Assuming I have one. That's the other thing I didn't consider. Okay, so we've got fears, impulses, intuitions, hindsight, foresight, confounding parables, revelations, patterns, contradictions, gossip, storms, regrets, solace, cheerful ditties, unread. Oh, we already have a cheerful ditties. Eee, shame on me. And looks like no satisfaction, so that's going to make it a little more complicated. I can try my chances with the fisherman, or I can try... Yeah, I think we're going to try conversations with the fishermen first, and then once we get to a certain point in the day, I'll maybe... I'll maybe just go and read a book for a gossip. That's probably my safest option. Alright, 6 almonds. I guess I get the fun of trying to put these in a sensible place now. Right now I'm just going to cram them anywhere I can fit them. Ooh. I kind of don't believe that I got away with it, but I'll take it. Now, one thing I probably should have avoided was using that tryst with the fisherman, because I think the way that these numbers work out, I'm still going to have to either give up the fish or I'm going to have to give up something else. But I'm kind of already committed to it, so we'll see what the day brings. What comes, neither of us knows yet, but we will. Alright, so we've got 3. I've already given him the element of this. Yeah, so I think in this case here, we can either give him a lunar globe or we can give him... ooh, actually, this is a little bit more of a dilemma than I thought it would be. So I can give up an element of the soul, and I can use a, whatever memory I want, a confounding parable or an impulse. Or I can give up fish, something like the pilchards. But I'm a little reluctant to give that up because I am likely going to be using my tryst quite a bit, and so I may not be able to get replacements as quickly. So I think in this case here, I'm going to try and get a memory. And again, we'll see what happens at the end of the day. But I think one thing is becoming clear in my mind. I think it's unlikely that I'm going to catalog some books. I think I'm going to want to use these elements of the soul to... I'm going to want to use these elements of the soul to generate memories. Marinated roast beef, but since we have learnt from all vapouring France to eat their auguste as well as to dance, we're fed up with nothing but vain complaisance. Oh, the old roast beef of England and an old English roast beef. Sorry, the roast beef of Old England and Old English roast beef. So forge, grail, heart, scale, all the good stuff. Now, we can still get some cooking done. So let's think... Let me take it back to the checklist. So we've got pickled pilchards, cold pheasant grape salad, marinated roast beef, magnificent roast potatoes. Let's do those. So we'll use heart for that. Again, gardening's kind of out the window right now. Roast potatoes magnificently, a dish with edge, forge, grail, and heart. And here we are, more sugar. That's going to be used for the jumble. Now, whether or not I have space for it, again, open question. Yeah, we made it fit. Okay. So at this point, we've got the 4, or hang on, we needed 5. Yeah. So I'm going to keep talking with the fisherman in this case. We'll see what memories come out. We want to make sure that we have this by the end of the day. And again, what we're really looking for here are grail and moon memories right now. So it feels a little funny to just sort of be sitting around waiting like this, but this is the better call. At the very least, I've been able to get some of the Okay, a little water splashes on the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. Now this wound up being a false... false lead. I'm going to have to move the teapot. But it's not bad to have a reserve of water. So what I'm going to do with the core, seeing as this is something that I use to cook with. It also has grail. Where's that water? I just had it. There we go. A quick nap in a warm bed with something comforting to drink while the winds chase the clouds and the clouds chase the sun. So again, we need to make sure that I have enough time to be able to get everything done. So we're currently in morning, the 3rd hour, when the office of terse once was sung. Watch as the day opens like a door. Okay, solace doesn't quite help me here, but what I'll do is, I think with a 1 minute to go, what I might do is I might use one of the shaft to get a confounding parable. And then I should have done this earlier. Something tasty. Crack open the container. Delight in your discovery. All right. Magnificent roast potatoes. It's the dripping that elevates it. Roast potatoes are a feast for the senses, but the dripping deepens the flavor profile, makes the experience continue through the machinery of the mouth to become a kind of journey. Wait a minute, what's the first course then? These things all double up, so we've got the pickled curds, we've got the... Oh, right, the cold pheasant. So maybe that was going to be forage, actually. That was. Pheasant was the first one. Okay, so cold pheasant with grape salad and orange jumble are the last two. Those are fairly straightforward to make. We just need the elements of the soul to do that. We don't have a ton of time, but I think we have a realistic shot of making it happen, especially, I forgot that the Sweet Bones was open, so I'm going to pay to get the Arab back. Actually, I'm definitely paying to get the Arab back because we want to read one of these books. And I've lost my patience, so we're going to go... Okay, that's another solace. So what I'll do here, I'm going to use this to get the gossip. That's what I've got available. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. And then we'll keep talking with the fisherman just to see what we can get. And actually, while I'm at it, I'm going to get the confounding parable. That's something we don't need to worry about the fisherman overriding. So in 30 seconds, I should be able to make the second to last item for the salon, and then again, I think in this case here, I'm going to use the Grail to get the Orchid Transfigurations a birth. Oh, okay, well, a bit of a pity, but there you have it. What do we have here? So we've got 15 seconds for this one to finish, and we've got 27 seconds. Okay, so we should be able to bring it over. And a basket of leeks, the marks of St. David's triumph, and very good in soup. So we don't really have any space in the pantry right now. So we'll use this as an overflow space. And then the consider verb's going to be taken up with some other tasks pretty soon. So I'm going to crash into reading the Grail text right away. What's next? I deserved a little quiet time. don't think we're quite ready to oh, no, we are. All right, so pheasant time. So we can roast the pheasant, but we're not doing that. We're roasting a pheasant with grape salad. We're not roasting it at all. It's cold pheasant. A dish with grail, heart, nectar, rose, and sky. And better now. Okay, so let's bring the shaft back. That's going to be to kind of keep making a bit of money. And then for the Arab, this is definitely going to be tight on the timing, but like I said, we want to see if we can pull this off. So the Arab, the gossip, I'll double check that Sea Stories is my best grail. It is. And we'll bring the spice scales in. So that's 6 of the 8 that we need. Now, there's a bit of danger here, because really if we don't have a memory or if an element of the soul, we're sunk. But in this case, I really do think this is worth the risk. It's a rainy day, so I don't expect a lot of those in winter, to be honest. All right, 3 hop flowers hath the tree. Ernestine Peterhans records her observations of the growths of trees and flowers around the isle, and the omens and portents she attempts to draw from them, particularly the yew tree in Earl Bryan's meadow, whose flowerings are sometimes eccentric. Ernestine observes that in years when the tree flowers black, troubling secrets arise. When it flowers red, war and fires follow, and that no de Wolf heir has ever been born in a year when it flowers white. Ernestine attempts to use the tree's grows to advantage in her business affairs, but it fails. She is evidently very concerned when Hendrik de Wolf's grandson Giles runs off with the pale trollop Hafren in a year when the tree flowers white. She begins to fear she has entirely misinterpreted all the relevant omens. She is deeply concerned for the continuation of the de Wolf line and prays for Giles' return. Okay, so don't have any plans for this gossip right now, but we'll make do. Okay, The Locksmith's Theme, Portions and Proportions. The second volume of Teresa Galmier's examination of parallels in the mystic dreams of artisans. The frontispiece has been slashed with a razor. In this volume, Galmier records fewer dreams and explicates more on her own elaborate theories. We see this again and again. What is below can't escape what is above. The finest artisans all dream of the white door in the end. I'm no artisan, only a scholar. I think there's a secret that all these artisans know, but I think that secret is only half the story. So I'm going to keep this one aside because we still need to level up the fisherman to get the moon that I need. It's a little delicate now just because I need to make sure that whatever I use this tryst for, I have a minute to allow that to get... I have a minute to allow it to regenerate, but I still have a few different things that I can do. I have a few pieces basically that I can move around to make this all work, but the confounding parable is sort of my insurance policy. Okay, perfect. So I've learned something, or perhaps just remembered it. So in this case, I think we will give the stolen secret directly to the fisherman. There is a question about what I want to do with the second tryst, but let's take this one step at a time. So I can discuss a memory with my assistant. This will use up the memory, but boost the assistant's abilities for the rest of the day. We will now... I need to make sure I have a desk with the moon, or at least some workspace with the moon. So that's this desk here. So we take the reading room. We'll take the confounding parable. We will take inks of containment. The lunar globe. So brew a minor ink with a virtue against vermin. And I know I did this before, but I actually am having a little trouble remembering what the results of this were. So I'm just going to take a second. So this is an old wound, which I've been meaning to get. Midnight mark. I think this also is a midnight mark. Nope, that's Eigengrau. Okay, that also gives us Catwink. Okay. These are eventually going to be things that we level up. But for now, I'm going to... So one drawback I have here... Well, hang on. So if I use this shaft and I generate a confounding parable... As long as I don't hear the bells and birds, I can generate a confounding parable and have the ink brewed in time for... Yeah, okay. So I got to use this for money. And I need to find a use for the tryst. So here's what I'm going to do, I think. And I know I'm over time. Cold pheasant with grape salad. This was the sort of dish you might expect to find for a late supper after the theater or halfway through a ball. Arbella Boxer. So, all but one of the ingredients for the salon, or dishes for the salon, are ready. Now, one thing I didn't think about was how I was going to level up Desires and Disillusions. The good news is that it's moon, so I'm actually not going to touch this tryst at all. So let's see it through to the end of today. I think we're in a good enough place to be able to see this through. That's just mean. All right. Well, even if we had the core, we wouldn't have gotten it. So, although actually, if I'd used no, the funny thing is if I kept the core and I'd used the rain, I would have gotten it. Oh well. I could encourage my assistant, work with them, or for a little while exalt them, or I could just listen to whatever they might have to say. So, we're going to take 30 seconds to see whether or not they give me anything I can use with the tryst to generate an ink. If not, then we can just use the tryst to really generate whatever we want. Well, not anything that we want, but I still have enough time to get 1 minute in. But the big thing that I was hoping for to kind of get everything for the salon, that's taken care of. I'm pretty happy with that. Dark and pungent. So first of 5. And we have a scale to show for it. So we're not going to do anything with the remaining memories. I'll just leave that aside. Let's now open up the abandoned bedroom. A crooning whisper haunts this room. It must once have been luxurious and will be again once I have it restored. But I will need help to lay the restless presence that drifts here. So a bit of an uneven day, but like I said, our main objective was to sort of get all the cooking done, which we did. We made an effort on the Grail text. I mean, we can't expect all of them to win out. What I'm going to focus on, so I'm going to use my tryst as my core for the C-O-R-E, for the next few days, because again, it's about getting those invitations written. However, I want to be aware that the longer I take to get the invitations out, the more opportunities I have to get some more skills committed to the Tree of Wisdoms. So I don't want to ignore the letters, and I don't want to ignore my books. The main thing is going to be assisting the elements of this, the relevant elements of the soul in generating the inks that I need. But any surplus will be used to read whatever books that I can, and hopefully we build ourselves up to a level where we're able to read the more complicated works. But again, that's a separate issue. But all of that will be handled in the next episode. I believe the next one is Friday's episode, so whether or not we get the salon started this week, I'm starting to feel a little pessimistic on that. However, I am feeling quite good that we've gotten some more rooms open than I was expecting. So, you know, these things have trade-offs. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And until then, take care.